We're back for another sexy week of the Scoreboard Addicts podcast. We're a little older, a little wiser. We're starting to get hair in really weird places. Sure. But we're ready to talk some Northeastern sports going on. And I'm not even, you know what? Do you have much? Oh, you know what we can talk about? And we'll start it off with that. It's a sad thing to talk about. The streak is over, unfortunately for me. For those of you who follow us, those of you who know me, I previously had never in my life witnessed a New York Rangers loss in person. Well, TJ and I went to the game on Monday against the Florida Panthers, and I unfortunately witnessed my first loss, and it's such a somber moment. I'm gonna miss the streak. The streak was strong for a long time, and T, you were right there with me for a lot of it, and I'm gonna miss it. I will remember you. But all good things come to an end.
Yeah, I mean, you had a hell of a run, but
dude, 30 at least 30, like I would say like 28 years. That was my run.
It's incredible. Better than the Taker streak.
A lot of fucking hockey. That's a lot of hockey.
Absolutely. Listen, dude, it was coming, right? It had to happen at some point, and I don't want to be one of those people that are like, when a team runs the gauntlet of the NCAA and then loses in like the Sweet 16, and they went undefeated up until then, and it's like you always get that sports commentator that's like, if they would have just lost during the regular season, maybe they would have got it out of the way. It's like that doesn't make sense. It's not how winning and losing works. But okay. Yeah, dude, it was an incredible streak. You got to just revel in it instead of being sad about it coming to an end. You witnessed a Rangers loss. The reason why you witnessed that Rangers loss is they played like absolute shit. Igor let the game-winning goal go past him, a little floaty wrist shot over his glove hand, and it just terrible. Yes, Murr is here today, in fact. We did – Nick, can you pull up that tweet where I got to meet Murr at the Ranger game? Murr was at the Ranger game.
I can absolutely pull up that tweet.
So Murr was 100% actually at the Ranger game, from Impractical Jokers fame. And he was sitting down there by the ice. And obviously me and Nick were walking around and meeting different people. Kenny Albert walked past us a couple times, gave us a few high fives, right?
Kenny, I completely forgot about it. I'm a high five whore. I will high five everybody and their mother as they walk by me. And we're standing on the bridge, and Kenny Albert walks by me, and Jason, who's on the show, enough, he says, "What's up, Kenny?" And I go, "Yeah, Kenny, up top." And I just high five him. Kenny Albert high fives me, but I don't recognize. Like in my head, he says Kenny. Like Kenny, I'm not registering. It's Kenny Albert. It just didn't click. And then TJ looks at me, he goes, "You just high-fived Kenny Albert. That was pretty cool." I was like, "When?" He goes, "Just now. Who the fuck did you think Kenny was?" I was like, "That was Kenny Albert? Son of a bitch." But I got him the second time coming back. I gave him another high five, and he was like, "All right, man, enough."
Yeah, right. It's not cool when you figure it out.
I said, let's go Rangers, and I went to high five him, and I think in his mind, he was like, "I fucking can't high five that, man. Like, I'm supposed to be impartial."
Well, I don't think it was that. I think it was the fact that I tried to ask him about Marv biting prostitutes, and he was
no, maybe slightly.
I'm teasing.
But I'll share that tweet. I will share that tweet of you and Murr at the game. And it was actually pretty wild that you met him.
Yeah, there he is. There he is. There's good old Murr. Telltale glasses, shaved head, big old smile on his face, having a good time. So I did get to meet Murr. What's great about this is obviously it's cruel charade. Obviously that's Nick. We were goofing around because with my glasses on Nick, he could pull off a Murr. And then we tweeted that out, and a whole bunch of strange people that don't follow us liked it. Like they're like, "Oh shit, look, it is Murr." Like, and then did your cousin really run into him and show him?
Yeah, he did, and he said he thought it was funny. I'll show just so we're not BSing anybody. Murr was at the game on Monday, as we were. And that's like there's like a clip of him. There he is at the game. That motherfucker ruined my life, man. You know how many times I've gone someplace and been accused of being him?
Listen, I mean, come on, man. There's worse people to get recognized than like think about it.
You're not wrong, but at the same time, it's like one time, like years ago, before I met my future wife, I was out and this drunk lady. We're on a double date, and not me and my future wife, me and some other person that I dated once.
No, never happened. Never happened.
And it's a double date, and this drunk lady sitting by. So first of all, I'm at my friend's restaurant. So when I walk in, everybody knows me. Everybody says hello. The valet says hello. Everybody says, whatever. And this lady goes, "Oh my God, oh my God," in the worst Staten Island accent. I guess it's worse because we live in Staten Island. She goes, "Oh my God, you're Murr. You're Murr." And I'm like, "Ma'am, I promise you, I am not Murr." "Yes, you are. Oh my God, it's him." And she's with like a table of like 6 or 7 people.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I swear I'm not Murr. And then she's like, "Let's see some ID." So I break out my military ID and I give it to, I show it to the person next to me, and it's her husband, presumably. And he goes, "Oh, you're in the Army?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Me too. I'm right down the road." "And you're still fucking Murr."
That's pretty good. Yeah, Matt wanted to know what your punishment was going to be, and then right up there with the Undertaker.
Well, no, he's talking about my streak. My streak is right up there. Yeah, 26 years. Yeah, it's it's wild. But what was worse was the valet thought I was Murr too. The valet at the Funky Elephant thought I was Murr. Like 6 months after, like we met, he was just like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm friends with the owner." And he's like, "Oh, I thought you were that guy from Impractical Jokers. Because when you come in, everybody says hello. You use the back exit. Like you don't come in through the front door." I'm like, "It's because I'm friends with the owner. I'm not fucking Goodfellas or fucking Murr over here."
Oh, that's great.
And she goes, I thought you were somebody famous."
Oh, that's awesome, dude. I mean, listen, I would just roll with it. Get yourself a pair of fake glasses and just take pictures with strangers on the ferry, especially at night, coming home from the city drunk. The kind of drunk that makes you order a Wendy's chicken sandwich and almost miss the boat drunk.
I didn't almost miss that boat.
Like I was shutting the door on you, bro.
But yeah, Rangers. Well, the sad part about the Rangers losing on Monday was that it just seemed to be that they were content with not winning.
Some of the team.
It seemed to me that some of the team just kind of felt like, well, we're in third place. We don't really need to hustle. We don't really need to overexert ourselves. We have a good enough cushion. We're making the playoffs. It doesn't matter if we're 1 or if we're 3.
Yeah. The one reason I like going to games is you get the perspective of not exactly. You get to see the whole ice, right? You get to see the extracurricular. You get to see what goes on around the play, not just the play. And we both said Capo Caco does not stop skating hard after the puck. He chases that puck and chases that whoever's carrying the puck up and down the ice without stopping his legs. When you watch people like Mika Zibanejad coast around and fucking Keandre Miller, who has all the speed in the world but just likes to coast around until it's a situation where he can get caught behind the play, and then it's like, oh, fuck. There's just a lot of lackadaisical, like, efforts coming from the key guys that you need to be good. And the other thing that I was very impressed at was, even though Panarin didn't have a big presence in that game on the stat sheet, dude, God bless you, he was throwing the body around, dude. He was getting into the boards and really making the extra effort. So it's embarrassing when you see Mika Zibanejad just float past somebody, which literally that was the second goal. The puck is in the it was in what's it called? Our offensive zone. Their defensive player picked up the puck. Florida picked it up along the boards. Mika, on the way to going to the bench, has to pass by the player who's holding the puck up against the boards. He literally stepped around him and went to the bench instead of just putting a body on him. The puck went down through the neutral zone, right into our zone, and it was behind Igor within, 5 seconds? Yeah. Because Zibanejad was unable to put a fucking body on somebody. And I understand that's not his game, but guess what? He isn't fucking scoring goals right now. And the goals that he has scored so far this year, they've been of little consequence. And this is what pisses me off going into the playoffs, because you need Kreider, you need Mika, you need these guys to step up and be big. And you definitely need Jacob Trouba to be the fucking angry player with the edge, not let Rempe be out there and the only physical force going for the Rangers. Okay? And 100%, I fully expect Trouba to drop the gloves instead of Rempe next time and take a load off of that kid's back, because you know what? We know Rempe's not going to say no unless he's told by his coaching staff to say no. He's there to make an impression on everybody, right? He's brand new to the league. He's a fucking rookie, for Christ's sake. He wants to be there, so he's going to do whatever it takes, including getting his face punched in and bleeding for the team, if that's what he has to do. But for a big kid, for a dude that's like 6'7", he can skate up and down the ice. He gets involved in plays, okay? And he always is chugging along. He might not have the finesse. He might not be the fanciest player out there, but he is not a useless fucking goon. And I want to see this kid in the lineup, because that fourth line always brings energy. And that's the one thing the Rangers have had the luck on their side. The fourth line for the Rangers is not a detriment. You're not scoring on the fourth line. The fourth line is giving our first and second line rest and bringing up the energy in the building. And they do a great job.
Yeah, Jacob Trouba did not practice today. Now, that might just been a regular scheduled day off. Sometimes reporters like to make news out of no news. And it could have just been scheduled. It could have been that he had, marriage counseling. I don't know, something. It could have been anything under the sun, not necessarily some sort of injury or something detrimental to his health or the team or his availability for the next game. So we'll see and monitor that situation with Jacob Trouba. It is currently hot stove season for the NHL. Trade deadline approaching fast. T, talk to us. We had a trade already. The few trades actually in the NHL, but the Rangers did make a trade yesterday.
Yeah. Listen. Oh, hi, honey. My wife checking in. She's just making sure I'm not drinking too much. My beer is gone. I'll get another one. Don't worry, sweetheart. Dude. So, big news out of tonight was everybody was on Jake Guentzel watch, right? Rangers were supposed to be in on it. I believe there was 5 teams listed, and they were like Vancouver, Florida, the Rangers, Carolina, and I forget the 5th team that was supposedly in on it. And Jake Guentzel ends up going to the Carolina Hurricanes. It's not a done deal. Supposedly, because both teams are playing tonight, it's going to be an after game type of ironing everything out. But according to, I believe it's The Athletic that put it out first, they said that it's pretty much a done deal that Guentzel's going to Carolina. We don't know what Carolina's giving up. I think if the Rangers weren't going to get Jake Guentzel, that's probably the least scary place for him to go. I think, not to say that Carolina's not a dangerous team, Jake Guentzel definitely makes Florida and Vancouver way more dangerous than the Carolina Hurricanes at this point. So I don't want to sit here and say I'm disappointed that he's not a Ranger. I'm happy that the Rangers didn't do anything stupid and give up the farm, including our 2 young prospects, our very high-touted prospects with Peralta and Othman. Capo Caco going in a trade like that, even that seems a little much, right? I don't know. We're high on Capo Caco, so we might be blinded by the fact that that's been our guy since he came up in the league. I like his progression. I like the way he plays the game. He's a two-way player. He doesn't light the lamp as much as you'd like to see as far as, where we picked him up off the draft. But he's a solid hockey player. And moving him for a rental at this point, does Jake Gunsel ensure cup for the Rangers? I don't think so.
That was my mindset. I was like, I don't think Gensel secures a cup. He's a good player. He's a really good player, but he's not a McDavid that's even like putting asses in the seats to that degree. You know what I mean? Like if you can't win a cup, then the Rangers don't need help putting asses in the seats. So, what are we? We're sitting next to Jesus, and you're still paying like $200 a ticket. So it's one or the other with sports, right? People forget that the whole point of sports is to be entertained, and if you can't do that, then you don't play. And people will sit there and say, "Oh, well, winning is entertaining." It is, but at the same time, like, who won the WNBA championship last year? No, I don't know. You know why? Because it's not entertaining. So whether or not you're entertained by it is a large part of what you're doing, and putting asses in the seats is a big part of sports in general. And I don't think Gensel moves the needle for us in that aspect, and he's not a good enough player to take over the game. I think personally think Panarin has a larger effect on the game than he does.
Oh, 100%. Listen, I mean, Panarin's killing it this year. He's our guy. He's going to be the guy, hopefully, in the playoffs, right? That's the one downside of Panarin is, other than one massive goal, which was huge, and we got to watch, Pittsburgh try and pee their pants after that goal, which was epic, right? Panarin doesn't have the stats for the amount of games that man has played for the New York Rangers. The stats are just not there. Yesterday, the Rangers acquired Alex Wenberg, so that was a nice little pickup for them. And the other guy that we've obviously been keeping an eye on, for us, we thought Vetrano would be the next thing, and Vetrano would be a Ranger if they made any move. I think Vetrano for a first-round pick is a lot, but
what pisses me off? We had him. We had him.
We had Tarasenko. We had these guys for nothing, and instead we keep Gaudreau. We do have a guest waiting. Hold on one second. We got to get his intro going because he's always fired up, ready to get on board with the Rangers talk. That's right. Big Tom teabags himself a Tommy's tirade.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
What's up, Papa Dukes?
All right, listen. I just got to tell you, Goodrow's been playing a pretty decent game. Effective defensively. End of the game, he's out there. He's a pro. But honestly, I got to tell you, I really got a bone to pick with Trouba. That guy has to see, and he's got to step up. When that kid Remke kept getting challenged at center ice, you know what? That kid's a fighter. Good for him. Bottom line is, Trouba should have set up and said, listen, you want to go, you're going to go with me before you go with that kid. And especially after the kid got beat up in Columbus, nobody stood up for that kid. Somebody should have stood up. I don't care, if Trocheck steps up and gets his ass kicked or whatever, but if somebody steps up. Trouba should have stepped up, ripped the C off his chest right now, because you know what? He ain't doing it for the team. That's my point.
Yeah, I kind of agree with he just doesn't have the tenacity that since he's gotten the C, I think. He hasn't been playing with that edge. And as far as being the tough guy out there, you're supposed to lead by example, right? And listen, this kid's getting the notoriety and fame, and rightly so. That's what he's after. He doesn't have to take these fights, but he's taking them because why? He's trying to get into this league. He wants to be a professional hockey player, and if this is the door to get him there, he's going to do it. But I think as a captain, as somebody that's been in just, as many fights as any other big guy in the league, another heavyweight guy, I think Trouba has to give the kid a break and be like, yo, if anybody wants to go with Rempe tonight, you're going with me first. And if anybody wants to go against that, I'll fucking T-bone you the next time you step on the ice. I'll come by and I'll put my stick right in your ribs as hard as I can. A little old school nastiness, because that kid is beaten up, man. He's bruised up, and he's fighting guys that have hundreds of fights, 100 little tricks of the trade and little moves and little things to get you through and protect yourself a little bit. And this kid is 21 years old, stepping on the ice. I get he's 6'7", he's taller than everybody out there. he probably weighs half their weight. He is a lanky, skinny 6'7", right? And he's just going to get manhandled out there either way. He's going in there full of piss and vinegar and getting the fist up right away and just throwing haymakers. And look what happened when he faced Reeves. Reeves did the veteran thing and let him tire himself out, and then Reeves started catching him towards the end. Rempe blew his load, essentially, and he was tired. And that's what happens. And this kid it's not that he's not holding his own. He's doing a great job, right? He's doing exactly what he needs to do, and it's very impressive what he's doing. However, you need a break. Boxers take 8 months off in between fights, minimum. And this kid's taking just fists and knuckles, bare knuckles to the face on an almost nightly basis. He needs a break.
Listen, let me tell you, kid's first 4 games, he's had 3 major fights. In one game, he massive check against the Devil Bastion and knocked him out of the game. And then he got the match, so he was out for that game. But 3 out of the 4 games, right off the bat, major fights. And you can't do that. You can't sustain yourself. And this is the problem. When people find out his weakness, which is he's young, inexperienced, they're going to go at him. And the problem is Rangers have to step up. Listen, I'm an old-time Ranger fan, and I still have a gut punch when Dave Schultz beat the crap out of Dale Ralph for doing nothing, pulling his hair, punching him, and not one Ranger came to his defense in late May of '74. And you know what? That was the downfall of the Rangers. Now we got a little bit of spunk, a little bit of toughness, and this kid is being left out to dry. This kid's got to pick his spots, which he did the other night, which I thought it was beautiful against Reeves. I thought it was a tie. You know what? Give the kid a lot of credit. He doesn't say no. But the bottom line is somebody, especially Trouba, has to step up for this kid. And he's nowhere to be found. Let's go a little further. When has Trouba thrown a big check, a major check? How many games ago already?
It's probably the last time he probably blasted somebody was Rempe's second game when they back-to-back lit what's his name up?
In the Devil game. But bottom line is, when you got Panarin throwing more checks than him, there's a problem.
A little bit. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And, I mean, the Rangers defense issues don't stop there. I mean, Miller is he's got to go because you know what's going to happen the longer he stays on this team. And I'm not thinking that you're going to get anything for him at this point anymore because I think his value has dropped. At this point, I just want to see him go because the Rangers are going to do the stupid shit of locking him in for 5 more years at $2 million a fucking year, and it's going to tie us up. We already have enough contracts tying up our fucking money. And I was
on the Miller bandwagon when he was coming up, when he was in the minors. I was on the bandwagon. You know what? I thought this kid was going to be a tough little kid, great speed, lot of length in his arms.
Jumped in on the rush.
On a rush, and then you know what? The first year he was out here, did a very nice job for being out here. All of a sudden, and I'll say it again, ever since that spitting incident, he's gone downhill. He's been afraid. He don't go on the rush as much. Even Lavalette has the defense going up further and further up, and he stays back. And he doesn't check. All right, yeah, he pokes check people, but that don't win you hockey games. Toughness in front wins you hockey games, and that kid doesn't have it. I wish we had 5 Lindgrens. We don't. We got 1 Lindgren. We got a half of the bag Trouba, and then the rest is like, hey, Snyder, decent kid.
Snyder's good. Snyder's good, kid. And Fox is probably the best 2-way defenseman I think in the league right now.
But Fox isn't in that conversation because you know who he is. You know what he brings to the table. You know what he can do. He 100%. Can be a breaker. You know what? He got a good shot, great sense of hockey awareness. But the bottom line is you got to get guys that are going to get tough. And if you leave this kid Rempe out to dry, the secret is out with that kid. Until he starts, learning the ropes a little bit more, they're going to beat on him. And again, somebody on the damn Rangers got to step up for that kid.
Yeah, I agree.
Trouba's the main guy. Trouba's the tough guy, the captain. Captain, my captain. Let's go. You get motivated.
Hey, T, didn't I say like a week ago? I was like, Miller hasn't been the same since he spit on that guy.
Yeah, it's
so weird that you bring that up.
Nick, you could see that, and listen. I watched the Rangers. Listen, I was so down on them last year. we had such great expectations, and we lose to the Devils, and it was our year. Why? Because Boston got spanked. Florida's the team to beat this year. But, Boston got spanked. Major teams, Oilers got spanked. They got knocked off. Toronto knocked off in the second round. You know what I mean? We had that chance. We had that team. And you know what? We ain't getting there. And again, listen, you look at the Rangers 5-on-5 goals against 5-4. We're not good. We got to get scorers. This new kid coming in, everybody said, oh, he's going to fill in for Hedl. The guy's only got 9 goals. He's got 25 assists, but he's only got 9 goals. He's not a house of fire. Good player. Don't get me wrong. But you know what? We need somebody that can put the puck in the net.
Yeah, I agree. All
good points.
Like we've said, Kreider and Mika have – it's funny. They both have – I think Mika has, 28 goals, and Kreider has 31 goals, something like that. But
Mika hasn't gotten a goal in 5-on-5 in 50-something games.
Right.
And that's what I mean. They're not
60-something days. 60-something days he hasn't had a 5-on-5 goal.
They score goals that are inconsequential. And like that goal against Florida the other night, right? Kreider gets a lucky bullshit bounce and buries a garbage goal. But where is he? He's off the side of the fucking net. And we saw that live, Nick. We were sitting there screaming at it. They're ripping shots on the power play, and instead of Kreider parking his fat ass at the top of the crease, he's off the side of the post. You're not scoring from there. Create traffic in front. Let the puck hit you in the leg and go there. Who cares?
You pick up garbage goals, right? I learned that from Coach O'Ryan.
Listen.
Absolutely.
Listen, the bottom line is the Rangers got to stop all these extra passes. They have to shoot the puck on net, crash the net, and you know what? Take no prisoners.
Nobody crashes the net.
They go across the middle more than any other team in the NHL. And that's rule number 1. You learn that shit in high school at the worst, that you do not go across the middle like that. And they just have a habit of throwing it wayward across the middle, and they get picked off 9 out of 10 times.
Right. They go east to west, and it's over. Listen, shoot the puck. Listen, go back to the 70s. The great big whistle, Bill Chadwick. Shoot the puck, Bubba. When Barry Beck came to the Rangers, all he did from the point was pass down low. Guy had a tremendous slap shot, and he failed to shoot. And that's all the big whistle used to say. Shoot the puck, Bubba. Shoot the puck. And that's the Rangers' problem. They look for the pretty pass, the pretty goal. You know what? On a score sheet, a goal is a goal. Doesn't tell you how it was made. It's a goal. Crash the net. And you know what Rangers have to do is that to take care of their own net. I don't know if you've noticed, Shesterkin, he's been coming out more and banging bodies now and getting into little fisticuffs. That's not his job. Yeah. But nobody's protecting him. Somebody's slashing your goalie. It's a cross check to the ribs. Take the 2 minutes. But you know what? You won't come back and cross check. Early Islanders. What did they do? Billy Smith. You're in front of the net. Your ankles got destroyed.
Oh, yeah. Right
Bottom
across.
Bottom line. And you know what? I don't mean to bring up old-time hockey because it's a different era, but it's still the same game. I don't care if you're east to west, north to south, fast, not fast. You still got to put the puck in the net.
Well, that's the other issue that we saw live was the Rangers, when they pick up the puck, they stop skating and look for outlet passes immediately. Nobody carries the puck into the neutral zone.
Birthday, Happy birthday.
That's right. That's
Happy birthday to you.
We muted
shout
him
out
for a second.
Birthday.
Yeah, shout out to my sister and brother, Shannon and Steven, their 27th birthday today. Pretty nuts.
Yeah, and today's their first time ever in 27 years that they're apart.
Yeah, my brother's on a cruise, the same cruise I was on 2 weeks ago and had a miserable time. And he's also having a questionable time.
Yeah, but you know what? It was his birthday, and he was playing in the casino last night after midnight. They all sang happy birthday to him and brought him a bottle of champagne and was drinking at the table.
That's nice.
Yeah. I'll tip of the cap to MSC on that one. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
I was happy when I heard that. So, in conclusion, Papa Dukes, before we let you go, is there anybody left on the trade docket that you think the Rangers need to go after? Or is it something where you pick up if you could pick up without giving away the farm and definitely not giving – because a first-round draft pick is what it is if you're going to help the team win now and give up the future. But when you talk about Peralta and Othman, I don't think there's anybody left that's worth giving up them.
No, listen, I'm not, especially after last year, buying these players for this now season, Tarasenko, Kane. Listen, we all knew Kane was hurt. Tarasenko did fulfill the void, put a couple of goals in against the Devils. I believe it was three goals or so. But listen, we couldn't see what he can do because we got bounced out in the first round.
Right.
I would have loved to have picked up a defenseman. I think the Oilers picked up a defenseman from Calgary, I believe. That's a pretty damn good defenseman. That was something that the Rangers could have used and maybe got some trade bait for Miller for a high potential scoring person with 2-3 years left on their contract. But this really, listen, you were talking about Vetrano. Vetrano filled the void last year very nicely. He didn't. And Mott. Those were two role players that knew their roles. And we let them go. Understood. Salary cap, the whole 9 yards. But now we have a chance to get them. But who are you going to give up? You know what?
Yeah, I don't think
I wouldn't listen. I would not put the future ahead of us now with him, only because you know what? It's not worth it. Listen, bring up Ottman. Bring him up.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the worst thing that could happen by bringing him up? You know what? He's not lazy. He played 2 games and he was in the mix. You know what? He wasn't afraid to carry the puck. Had a couple of shots on goal. Didn't score, but he was there. But 2 games doesn't make him a star.
You never know, man, because you bring up somebody that's young and hungry going into the postseason. You never know what you're going to get out of them.
And listen, he does well in the postseason. He's going to make a name for him, and that's the start of his future. And I think he'll do well here. I really do. I don't think he's the type of guy that would fold under the pressure of New York City.
No, I don't think so either.
But listen, I do believe I loved when Lavalette put the 2 kids on with Goodrow late in the game. I wish he would have put them on the power play when he had the 4-minute power play. I think throw them in front of the net. I think we could have done a little more damage. But these kids, they're keeping the puck in the offensive zone. They're not hurting the Rangers. The penalty that Rempe got the other night when they scored the goal, that was not a trip. He came running through the guy, skating through the guy, and his leg was up. And he hit his leg. The kid went down. They called the trip. It was a dive. It was a Fugazi goal. I'm sorry, Fugazi penalty. And the goal that Longberg scored, Fugazi. Shesterkin just missed it. Unfortunate that cost us the game. But you know what? He's still putting us in many games. He's his
100%. He gets as many passes as he needs. He's not the issue.
Right.
Listen, he's not the issue. It's your defense. Your defense is just set on letdowns. And I understand that if you're not a Ranger fan right now and you happen to be watching us, I'm sure you're screaming at your computer screen like, oh my God, you guys are a bunch of whiny bitches. You guys are number 3 in the league and you're complaining. Absolutely. But when you lose, I understand your sentiment, but when you lose against a team like the Florida Panthers, that's a proving ground game. And you didn't show up. That doesn't bode well going into this last little bit of the season into the postseason.
The last quarter, 20 games left. Listen, you lost to Toronto, and you lost to Florida. Two top teams.
Yeah.
That are going to go very far into the playoffs. I really believe Toronto's going to go deep this year. I have that feeling that, you know what, they're there. Listen, they won one series last year. I think the first time in 10, 11 years they finally got through a round. But I think that, you know what, I think they're ready. I think they're ready to go a little further.
Yeah,
but the thing is, Florida, I think, is the team to beat.
I hope so, because you know what? Canada needs a little something, because I believe their drought is 1 year longer than the Rangers' drought for a cup. The country of Canada doesn't have a cup in 1 or 2 years longer than that. So I think they're going on 35 years now without a cup for the whole country of Canada, and they have now teams in the league, 5 teams in the league now. So.
Yeah, but listen, they've had enough cups though too.
The Oilers and the Canadians have definitely had enough cups. The rest of them, not so much.
Listen, yeah, and like you said, we're in third place, whiny little crybabies. But the bottom line is, we see what the Rangers can become,
Right.
and they're not. There's no passion. There's no passion for them.
It's a lack of effort.
Right. There's no urgency. Listen, beautiful game when they beat the Islanders. They came back. Lavalette, tremendous, taking the goalie out twice.
That was nuts.
You know what? I was the one guy, about one out of every 7 million Ranger fans, going, "You're out of your mind. It's too early," and it proved great. But bottom line is, they got to show passion. They got to show the hunger to win at all costs, and they got to protect Rempe. If they don't, it's going to be just like, oh yeah, he's a slugger. We know what his faults are. Beat the crap out of him, and guess what? He's out of the league in 3 more months, and that's it. You don't want that. You want him to be there like a Nicky Fatiu, like a Steve Vickers. Steve Vickers had a better game, but you know what? Nobody messed with Sarge.
Fair enough.
Number 8, Steve Vickers. Go back to the play-by-plays. You'll see it.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Again, a new segment we have on the show, which is that was a Tommy's tirade. Dad, thank you very much for joining us.
All right, no problem. Let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers.
All right. New segment of Tommy's tirade. We went off without a hitch. It was a long tirade, but you know what? I like the passion, because that's what I think we found lately a lot on Rangers Twitter. Is there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of fire, there's a lot of grit in the belly of these fans that are just hungry for another cup. So I definitely agree. My father, last year was a wasted opportunity, and I don't want to see the Rangers waste an opportunity this year, because it's fucking laid out there on a silver platter for us. Just play like we were playing in that chunk of the season where it looked like we weren't going to lose another game. That nastiness, that ferocity, bring that back. Because the coasting around, not throwing hits is not going to get you a cup.
Quick word from our sponsor.
Fantasy Sports Corp and Underdog Fantasy have teamed up to start your fantasy season off in the win column with Best Ball. What is Best Ball? It's quite simply the easiest way to win. No team management, no trades, no waivers. It's their biggest contest ever, and it has only gotten bigger. You simply have to sit and win. You don't even have to set your lineup. Always get your best score every week. Just enter a contest, draft your team, and Underdog will do the rest. What could make this even better? How about free money, up to $100 using our exclusive promo code? Go online now and use the promo code Scoreboard to double your deposit up to $100. You tell them Gingerbread sent you. Good girl.
So let's get into
Whiskey of the Week.
T, you drinking anything tonight? I think TJ's deaf to the world. He can't hear me. You don't got me? I'm unsure if this is a you problem or a me problem. This is the trouble with live radio / television. It seems like everybody else can hear me. Whiskey of the Week today. And I'm actually not drinking whiskey today. You're muted, T.
Sorry about that. My shit just went all fucking squirrely. I think my audio tried to kill itself like yours did the other night.
Last week, that was rough on Wrestling Addicts. I'm actually not drinking whiskey this week. I'm drinking Diplomatico, which is
nice.
rum. But it's a sipping rum. And sipping rums are where it's at for me these days. It's absolutely delicious. I love it. It's not as good as I'm a big fan of the Bacardi 10 and the Bacardi 18, which you can only get the 18 in Puerto Rico at the factory. But the 10 is actually really good too, and I got to get a bottle of that sometime in the very near future. But Diplomatico is actually very good. It's right up there with Barrilito de Ron, or Ron de Barrilito, which is Puerto Rico's oldest rum distillery on the island. Got a very good nose. It smells good. It doesn't smell like rum. It smells more like a dark liquor because it is, but it's not spiced like something like Captain Morgan. This has more subtle flavors, more like a bourbon. It tastes like bourbon, but light. It doesn't have a harsh finish. It has a very alcohol empty kind of finish at the end. There's nothing that lingers on behind, so you're not going to get that nasty bite at the end of your drink. A little ice cube in it makes it just right. What are you drinking tonight, T?
Tonight, I'm going with a little Bellmead Reserve Bourbon, 108.3 proof. Absolutely love this stuff. Typical bourbon flavors, right? You got your little bit of char oak, but it's not aged very long. It's more caramel up front. The nose is just all that sweet caramel, a little bit of cinnamon. And on the palate, it is one of the smoothest bourbons above 100 proof that I've ever had. It just like the alcohol just kind of lets you know that it's there. You know, a little oomph behind it. You know, it's not 80 proof, but after that, nothing. There's no burn, nothing. It's just smooth, goes right down. No Kentucky hug, nothing like that. No burning down the center. And you know, like I like to drink my whiskey neat. Just a sweet, smooth, awesome bourbon. A little pricey, about $70 a bottle, but every once in a while you got to treat yourself, right, Nick?
Speaking of treating ourselves, on Monday before the game, we do a little traditions here. We're big on tradition here at Scoreboard Addicts. Monday before the game, as we have done in the past, we shot ourselves down to American Whiskey. It's about a block and a half away from the Garden. It's actually the next block over, halfway up the block. I just forget in what direction. I want to say north.
One block south.
There you go. It's going the exact opposite direction of where I need to be. It's south of the Garden. And TJ found one of his most precious. I mean, if I could describe this bourbon that TJ was drinking, call him Schmiegel, and that bourbon was his precious. And and we went there. Jason was on the show a week ago, and he was talking about American Whiskey. And they had their 10-year anniversary last Friday. We went on Monday, not by any like directive, but just that's where we go. We're whiskey drinkers, and that's where we went. I had a nice old fashioned there. It was delicious. But we also had, TJ, go ahead. What did we drink?
So we drank a little George T. Stag, which is a BTAC, antique collection from Buffalo Trace Distillery. I want to say it's like $130 MSRP, but you could know the president and the Pope and the, I don't know, aliens that are going to invade, and you still aren't getting a bottle of that for MSRP. If you see it in a liquor store on secondary, I would say the cheapest you're finding it is $700-800. More often than not, it's about $1,200 to $1,500 for that bottle. I found out last year that they randomly keep some George T. Stag in stock at American Whiskey. It's not on their menu. So we walked in there, and the first thing I asked was, "Hey, any chance you have George T. Stag?" The waitress said, "Yeah, we have Stag Junior." I was like, "No. George T. Stag." I was like, "There's a very big difference." She's like, "Hold on, I got to ask." She came back. She's like, "Listen, my manager's looking downstairs. Is there anything you want as a backup?" I said, "Yeah, I'll take an old fashioned if not." She came back 5 minutes later, and she's like, "He found a bottle unopened. They're cracking it for you right now." And Nick could tell you I probably did like 15 laps in that place in my head, because I was just sitting there like,
he was like
ready for
it. And then they looked at me like, "Do you want one?" And I was like, "No, I'm poor, man. I can't afford that." The manager then came over and told TJ, like, "Just so you know, I found that bottle for you, cracking it right now." And they kind of had like a back. He was impressed that TJ even had the foresight to ask about it. So I finished my old fashioned, which was very good. They made it with rye, not bourbon, which was good. It was a different change, a different fugue of flavors.
A little extra spice in the rye.
Yeah. And then I finished that. They go, "What do you want now?" And I'm like, "I just want something to sip on." And I go, fuck it. Let me get a George T. Stag. And she goes, please don't ruin it by making it an old fashioned. Cause I said something like, "I'm going to ask you to do something and don't judge me." She goes,
she said,
"Please
"How
don't
you want
ask
it?"
me." Yeah. And I was like, "Don't judge me." I was like, she's like, "Please don't say put it in an old fashioned." I was like, no, just throw like 2 ice cubes in it. I just don't like hot liquor. That's what it comes down to. It's not that I don't like the flavor. If you put it on ice, I'd probably just drink it straight, no big deal. But nobody's going to do that. So I don't like drinking hot liquor. That's just a thing. Like even when I'm sick, I don't drink hot toddies. You know me, I'll drink penicillin because it's on ice. You know, like I'll drink penicillin all day long. That's my go-to. A hot toddy, not so much because I don't like hot liquor.
Yeah, listen,
but I had that stag and it was delicious.
Right?
Reasonably priced.
Listen, for the price, I believe it was like 50-something bucks a pour. And
I paid 60-something for blue, and blue's $200 a bottle.
Listen, and for the fact that honestly, when you do see those BTAC bottles, right, your George T. Stag or your Handies or your Eagle 17s, right, they're usually at a high-end bar, usually a steakhouse, right? And if you want to pour that, or even your Pappies, like a Pappy 10, you're going to pay $110 for a pour of that. Essentially, you're paying that bottle's MSRP for one pour of it. And the owner's going, and everything else is profit. Thank you very much. So it's nice to find something like that where you can actually experience a bourbon that when you see the liquor store on a shelf for $1,200 and you're like, oh, I'm never going to fucking try that because that's just a waste of money. When you can get yourself a pour of it for $50 and you can actually make the judgment yourself of that shouldn't be $1,500. That's not worth $80. And I got to say, George T. Stag is the one bourbon I would spend like $600 on. You know, I'm not going to drop $1,000 on, but I'll go 5 times MSRP if I could get my hands on a George T. Stag. Essentially, what we would pay for 13 pours at American Whiskey is what I would pay for a bottle of George T. Because it is that good, it is that special, and any time I've had it, from because obviously they do change from year to year, batch to batch. It's still special. It's still a tremendous bottle. However, I will add this caveat. If you can get your hands on a bottle of Stag Junior, which is like $60-$70 MSRP, again, you're not getting it for that. You could probably get it on the secondary for about $170 to $220. I believe I paid like $215, $220 for my bottle. It is right up there. You're not going to get that extra like oaky and like cherryness to it because that comes with the age, but it has that like the bones of it. It's the same bourbon and it is tremendous at a fraction of the price. So, dude, just that experience alone is amazing.
Shout out to Kettle Black selling Stag Junior at a reasonable price too.
Absolutely.
$20 a pour.
You shouldn't have told everybody. Now they're going to go there. What are we doing? Yeah, absolutely.
We move on. I don't know. First of all, I want everybody to know that I love TJ loves hockey, and I like hockey a lot. But my first love will always be baseball, and I honestly sometimes feel like crying when I think about how much I love baseball. That being said, spring training is phenomenal for me. I love spring trainings because it reminds me that the weather is about to start getting nice. I like day games at work. When I'm at work, if I could put a day game on and have it on in the background, it's like a plus. Especially when the games don't count. If the games count, I want them at night so I can devote all my time and effort to watching the game. I do watch a lot less baseball than I did when I was younger. But spring training's going on. And I guess the debate of, because there's always going to be an overreaction to everything going on in spring training. I wanted to take your opinion on spring training, because I'll give an example. Juan Soto has started off pretty hot for the Yankees. He's batting very well. Anthony Volpe also batting very well. You got somebody like DJ LeMahieu who is struggling big time, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto from the Dodgers, who they just made the highest paid pitcher in baseball, had a great first start. His second start, not so much. So in your opinion, how important are these spring training games, and do they have implications toward the regular season?
Yes and no. So if you're somebody like Aaron Judge and you're off to a slow start, does it matter much going into the season? No, it's not the start you want. You'd rather get the bat going before the season starts and start the season hot than kind of get into the groove during the season, because obviously It takes a few at bats, and games are going to be on the line. For somebody like DJ LeMahieu, where you're kind of in your last couple seasons, a slow start after a bad spring training can equal the bench 100% of the time. So I think for somebody like that, that brings into the the mental aspect of pressing when the season starts and what you're going to make of it, if it's going to eat you alive or you're just going to bounce back, right? Pitching is similar too, dude, because pitchers, they're superstitious, they get crazy. They buy into all that hocus pocus. So you definitely want to get the pitchers going a little bit, or at least have something to bank on going in the right direction and not have like just a complete shell job where you go out there and you get lit up. But in the grand scheme of things, does spring training mean anything before the regular season? No, it's just warming up, right? You're getting your swings in. It's practice. That's all it is. It's going to be based on the individual, how they're going to react to either a bad spring training or a good spring training or an okay spring training, whatever it is. And again, there's 182 baseball games, so you have time to figure it out. It's
162 baseball games.
Oh, what did I say?
182.
Did I? Oh, I added the 20 games of nonsense. I don't know. 162. Sorry. I was like, wait, did I say something wrong? It's a long season. That the beginning quarter of the year, you can figure some shit out, right? But you don't want to, especially if you're the Yankees, especially if you're somebody like Giancarlo Stanton who goes through lulls and the fans go through that love-hate relationship of, 17 Ks for one home run, and then the guy gets hot and goes on a tear for a month. We don't want to see that. We want to see more rounded baseball. But because of analytics and exit velo and the way they want you to swing, it's just whatever. I don't want to start this spring training on a bad note, bringing up analytics, but it ruins the fucking game.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I think in spring training, there are certain milestones you want to hit just to know you can hit them. And as a hitter, you want to hit a home run in spring training. If you're a guy that hits home runs, you want to hit at least one home run in spring training just so that you still got it.
Right.
And I know a lot of people thinking like, oh, well, if you're a home run hitter, why would you think that you don't got it? I promise you talk to any major leaguer, sometimes you have feelings like that where it's like, I want to know if I still got it. And hitting a home run is part of it, especially if you're a prodigious hitter.
It's a pretty simple thing, though, for not to cut you off, but if people want to sit there and question that, like, of course, somebody, this guy's Judge is going to hit another home run in his life. But it's like, hold on a second. Nick, me and you played baseball a good chunk of our lives. You had a last at bat. I mean, we don't play.
You don't know it's your last at bat when it happens.
Nope. But you had your last at bat. At some point, you had your last double, Nick. You had your last triple. You had your last stolen base. You had your last strikeout. You had your last home run. Right?
My last home run actually didn't clear a fence. My last home run, I wasn't a home run hitter. TJ's more of a home run hitter than I am. I'm more of a singles and doubles. I'm more of a singles and doubles kind of guy. Steal a base, top defense, that kind of stuff. My last home run was a screaming line drive over a left fielder's head at a field with no wall, and it ended up on the next field. I think we won that. We were at the bar by 10:30. That game started at 9.
Yeah, that was a good day.
That game started at 9. We were at the bar by 10:30 because we mercied them, because in men's league baseball there is a mercy rule.
Nobody wants to waste that time.
We were at Griff's by 10:30 drinking already because Griff's was sponsoring us that year. That was a good time.
You know what's funny though? 10:30 on a Sunday morning, bar's already packed.
That's true. I like that bar too because it says no colors on the front door because they know like gangsters walk in there and they don't want any freaking dudes wearing rival colors and then getting into biker gang fights.
Well, it's a little unsavory when your Sunday afternoon crowd and Saturday afternoon crowd are usually like soccer moms and dads coming off of Miller Field with their kids like, yeah, just go play pinball and shut up for a little bit. Daddy's going to make the mortgage payment on Quick Draw right now.
Pretty much.
It is a great place, though.
But definitely having to hit those milestones. You want an extra base hit. If you're a pitcher, there's a certain number of pitches you want to get through before giving up a run. You're trying to find out, like, if certain pitches are going to work for you. You mix in some new things that you're normally not trying to do, whether it be pitch sequence or a new pitch that you're trying out, or you're trying to see what you can get away with. If you're a pitcher, can I get away with going 75% and still getting out? And you're trying different things, and that might be some of the struggles that somebody like Carlos Rodon is going through. Giancarlo Stanton is now skinnier. He might be going through a struggle having to adjust with the fact that he's not as bulky as he has previously, because we've seen that affect people too. It affected guys like CC Sabathia. It affected guys like David Wells. Losing weight affected the way that they pitched, and they had to, people sit there and be like, oh, they're fat. Yeah, they pitch better when they're fat. That's just their life. You see CC now, you see David Wells now, and they're both in great shape. And you're like, well, why didn't you look at them when you played? Well, when I played, I wasn't going for that. I was doing something else. So, right. There's certain things that you want to hit when you're playing.
Compared to Noah Syndergaard, who got in tremendous shape 2 years into his career and lost the ability to fucking dominate.
Yeah, absolutely. And started getting injured a lot more.
Yeah.
All that being said, I do think that there are some instances where there is cause for concern when somebody is struggling. And I do also think that everybody wants to go into the regular season feeling good about what's already happened.
Oh, yeah.
And struggling in the spring and pressing in the spring is not going to get you to that point during the regular season where you're like first at bat of the regular season and you're sitting there going, oh man, I just had a fucking awful spring. I'm definitely going to turn it around today. Today's the day. Because at some point during the spring, you do try to turn it on. At some point, you're like, all right, fuck, I'm Giancarlo Stanton. I'm batting 0.67 right now after 15 at bats. And I need to start getting hits. At that point, you're not playing around anymore. You're not trying anything new. Now you're just trying to hit a single, hit a double, hit a home run, hit something. And Stanton right now is batting 0.67, excuse me, with no home runs, no RBIs, with a 243 OPS in spring training. Now, again, those numbers don't mean anything. And Yamamoto getting his tits lit the other day means very little too. But come the regular season, if their first start is not stellar, it becomes a snowball effect, especially in baseball, which you're right. It's a long season, 162 games. It starts to roll and roll and roll. Last thing before we go, Blake Snell still a free agent. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess the asking price is too high. Maybe people aren't ready to commit on that kind of money that he's asking for. I don't know. I like seeing him still out there. Do I think he ends up on the Yankees either way? No. So it doesn't matter to us. But it's funny. It's amazing the guys that teams are willing to break the bank for and other guys that are going to go by the wayside. And Blake Snell, who is a tremendous pitcher, is getting lost in the shuffle right now.
I think Scott Boras being his agent kind of hurts him. The Yankees made a generous offer to him, more than what they offered, what Rodon signed for. And we'll see what happens with him. I think the Yankees are the only ones to formally make an offer. And I lied. I said last thing before we go. Now is the last thing before we go. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul in July. Your thoughts, real quick, before we go.
I think Jake Paul is going to get his fucking face destroyed. Okay. I want to see Mike Tyson like ranting and raving and saying he's going to rape your fucking husband on the side of the stage and weirdness like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want that, like Mike Tyson that just got out of prison. Like, I want to see Jake Paul be like, nah, dude, I don't even want to try to fix this. Like, even if it's fixed, I don't want to get in the ring with that animal. I want that. And then I just watched Mike Tyson boxing a couple months ago, a video of him, and holy shit, I wouldn't go anywhere near that fucking guy.
Okay? Got it.
Dude, I would not go anywhere near that man. That guy is happy as hell with a smile on his face, palming mushrooms, magic mushrooms, and he has his own weed lineup now, and it seems to just make him happy. And apparently happiness equals more violent Mike Tyson, because holy shit, that video is scary.
If this ends in a draw or Mike Tyson losing, I don't give a fuck if Mike Tyson's 58 years old, or I think he's 58, 59. Jake Paul, I saw Mike Tyson fight Roy Jones Jr. a couple of years ago. I know you're saying, oh, he's old too, but Mike Tyson was not. He was the not fucking around crew, okay? Yep. And they called that match a draw. It was not a draw for anybody that saw it. Jake Paul was the undercard on that fight. That match was not a draw. fucking Roy Jones is sitting there going, this was supposed to be an It was like that scene in Rocky 4 when fucking Duke is like, this is supposed to be an exhibition as Apollo's getting murdered.
Yep,
Same deal.
much.
And that's going to be Jake Paul in a couple of months, and I can't wait.
Hope so.
But that's all we got here from the Scoreboard Addicts podcast. We'll catch you again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Adios.